A man's visit to the Singapore Botanic Gardens last week ended with him in hospital after he was attacked by a group of otters, which left him with over 20 wounds, including bites on the legs and buttocks. Graham George Spencer, who's in his 60s, telling my colleagues that the incident happened while he was completing a routine morning walk with a friend near the gardens' Taman Serasi entrance. At Gleneagles Hospital, he was given tetanus shots and oral antibiotics and had some wounds stitched up. And he has since returned to the hospital 3 times to treat his wounds. Let's bring in Anbarasi Boopal, co-CEO of wildlife rescue group Acres. Ambu, in Mr. Spencer's case, he says the otters only, quote, went crazy after another man ran towards them. Well, they initially attacked this other man who then ran past Mr. Spencer, and this led the otters to then target Mr. Spencer, and he theorizes that they must have thought he was the runner. Generally, though, in what situations do otters attack?
I think this is a really unfortunate incident, and I hope that he recovers well. Wild animals such as otters actually don't attack humans unless they feel cornered or threatened. That too mainly for social animals such as otters, wild boars, and monkeys as well. Just like us, they are very protective of their young. So which means if humans approach or go through a family which has pups or young too close, they will tend to defend their babies and will try to remove their threat. That is possibly what could have happened in this unfortunate incident as well. Otherwise, otters actually have no reason to approach humans at all. In fact, it's us who end up approaching them most often in many areas to take a good photo of them using our phones.
Well then, Anbu, as a general rule, what should people do when they encounter otters, and not just, the aggressive ones?
I think the golden rule when people come across wild animals is really to keep a respectful distance from the animals. In case of otters, definitely several meters. It's actually a key for many wildlife encounters. So in Singapore, we will encounter wild animals inevitably in our green spaces, but everyone actually needs to practice wildlife etiquette. There is a lot of information online in terms of advisories, and also there are so many publicly available signs as well. So it now actually boils down to us, every individual, to actually practice what we see on these signs and practice very mindfully so others don't get affected. It's almost like driving. We can be safe drivers, but it requires everyone on the road to practice safe driving to make the road safe. So it would apply also for practicing wildlife etiquette in order to prevent human-wildlife conflict.
But if someone is attacked or bitten by an otter, Anbu, what are the risks of disease?
I think for wild animals here itself, Singapore is proudly rabies-free, and NParks also monitors the wildlife health populations here. So if there is a bite case, just like another open injury where there is bleeding, we would only advise people to get medical help as usual to actually address the injury itself. But there's no risks of diseases that people may often fear of, for example, rabies that was mentioned.
Okay, well, and then, sightings of the Singapore otters have become rather commonplace these days when they used to be quite rare. Is it time to start thinking about its population control?
Basically, in Singapore, we have seen an increase in the otter population over several decades in the past. That is because we have a suitable environment which is welcoming for these wild animals, not just otters. Roughly, I think in Singapore, we have about 11 otter families here. But we do have an otter working group, which has very efficient members, such as otter watchers, who are members of public who closely monitor their movements, their dynamics. We have PUB, NUS, NParks, Mandai Wildlife Group, and also Acres in it. And these otters are monitored regularly. And because I think otters are, compared to other animals, they are more visible, people might tend to think that, there is more otters here. But naturally in the wild, these wild animals and their population actually go through changes and variation in response to the environment. Not just from resources, but also from, say, food as well. That is why it's very actually important that feeding of wildlife is prohibited under our law. So we don't have to artificially do anything to manage their population. There is no need to do that. Their population is also managed naturally in their own ways. When there are territorial battles, some otters unfortunately do lose their lives. And also, living in an urban city like in Singapore, they do face other threats like becoming a roadkill as well, which we have witnessed before. So there is no need to artificially manage their population at this point.